In my previous video, I talked about the difference between toxic relationships and toxic people. But a very important point that I'm going to cover today is why you need to know this difference. Because a lot of people just go and start labeling the people they are in relationship with as toxic without understanding, are those people really toxic? What does the word toxic mean? And what are the consequences of labeling somebody as toxic? Yes, there are consequences, and that is what we are going to cover today. So, for the first two questions, you have the previous video where I talked about the difference between when a person is toxic to you and when a relationship is toxic to you. So, please go ahead and watch that video first. Now, we are going to talk about the consequences of labeling somebody as toxic. So, this is an example from Indian religious practices. You might have known that every Hindu god has multiple names, but you might not know that every name signifies some quality of that god. So, every person, every human being similarly has many, many qualities. But what you can also, if you go into depth, what you can also find out is that every god also had negative qualities or dark side, etc. Right? But whenever we are praying to a god, we are using the names that signify their positive qualities or the qualities that we want to attract or that we want to call forth. So, this is exactly what happens when you label people. When you label them toxic, you're calling forth their toxic side. Now, this is something that most people will not be able to understand. Sadhguru usually talks about how we need to focus on the positive qualities of a person so that we can call forth the positive aspect of that person. But the same thing applies to the negative things, right? One more example I want to give you is from the realms of ghosts and spirits. It is said that if you know the names of, some ghosts or some devils, whatever, like, there are some evil beings in every religious cultures, you should not call out their name because even just by saying the name, you can call them forth. So, and that doesn't probably happen like if you just say the name. Maybe there has to be some intensity behind it, your intention behind it, etc. Right? So, whenever we call people toxic, there definitely is a lot of intensity of emotion. And any other negative words also. If you call somebody cheap, if you call somebody nasty, whatever nasty words you use for somebody, you will find that you start to just see that quality in that person. That person just starts behaving like that towards you. Maybe that person is very good towards everyone else. I remember back when I did not know all of these things, and I would think, like, the people I used to find nasty or toxic or whatever, I would be like, how can this person have any friends? I don't like him or her. How can anybody like him or her? But that is the thing. I am focusing on that one thing. I'm calling that person that one quality. I'm calling forth that quality more and more. Now, you don't have to stop calling everyone toxic right away, but I would definitely ask you start introspecting that the person I'm calling toxic is actually toxic, or is the relationship toxic for me, or what is it? What is the thing that I have just been labeling as toxic, right? And one thing I want to remind you here, because a lot of people can go over to the toxic positivity side of this. For example, this happened with me recently. Me and a group of other people had been scammed by this guy who said that he's going to build a website for each of us for a very small amount of money. So we happily paid him that amount of money, and very soon it was very clear that he is not going to do anything for us. So I had a friend in this group of people, and we had been having this kind of conversation that he scammed us, that he is, we had all these red flags that we did not notice before, and we were just talking about, every lie and everything that he has said is he's a cheat and this and that, etc. And my friend one day says that, we're just focusing on the negative aspects of him. We should focus on the positive instead. And what ended up happening was that she ended up paying him more because he came up with another plan that, if you pay this much amount of money, not only will I give you a website, I'll give you this, etc. Whereas I did not fall for that trap. So if you go on to the toxic positivity end of the spectrum, then you compromise on practicality. and neither ends are good. Toxic negativity and toxic positivity are both toxic. So stay balanced, keep your emotions under check, be practical. Again, practicality also, not too much. Be balanced. That's what is most important. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos, do go to my channel. There is a playlist called Relationship Karma, and I will be adding more videos to it so you can save that playlist.